Hello again, welcome back. For this video, 6.1, we'll be talking about solving multi-step inequalities. You see our only goal here is to solve multi-step linear inequalities because we are going to be doing straight line inequalities. If you know how to solve multi-step equations, the steps to multi-step linear inequalities is the same. Here we're going to show the inequalities versus equations. So I have the two set up here. They're exactly the same except one has an inequality sign here and the other one has an equal sign there. So step one would be to, on the left-hand side, would be to eliminate the x's from the left-hand side. So I'm going to go minus 2x, and I'm going to do the same thing over here, minus 2x, minus 2x. I'm doing equality properties on both sides. So I end up with 5 less than 3x minus 10. And over here, I end up with 5 equals 3x minus 10. Then I'm going to add 10 to both sides for both inequality and equation. So add 10 both sides. This zeroes out, gives me 15 less than 3x. 15 equals 3x. And then divide both sides by 3. And the right-hand side, we end up with x equals 5, or one solution. And the left-hand side, we end up with x's that are greater than 5, or 5 is less than x. I'm going to flip that around and call it x is greater than 5. The right-hand side has one solution. The left-hand side has infinitely many solutions, anything bigger than 5. All right, now we're going to try inequalities with the distributive property. So over here on the left-hand side, we're going to distribute the 4. That will give us 8x and minus 44. Bring down the inequality. I'm not doing anything with a negative 12 yet, so I'm going to bring it straight down, but I do have this positive 2 that I'm going to distribute here. That will give me a positive 2x. And a minus or negative 8. Now I'm going to combine my like terms on this side here. So the left-hand side will be 8x minus 44 less than or equal to. I'm going to bring the 2x down because I didn't do anything with it, but the negative 12 minus 8 will give me a negative 20. Now I'm going to subtract 2x's from both sides because my coefficient on the right-hand side is smaller. I'm going to eliminate it to avoid having to deal with flipping the sign here. That's why I do that. So 8x minus 2x is going to leave us with 6x minus 44, which is going to be less than, we still have a negative 20 on the right-hand side. I'm now going to add 44 to both sides, so plus 44. So 6x is now less than or equal to 24. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So divide by 6, divide by 6. So I end up with x is less than or equal to 4. So the solution set would be all x such that x is less than or equal to 4. And if I were to graph that, I would have a 0 here, a 4 here, closed dot there, and an arrow to the left because I'm looking for x's that are smaller. Okay, here we have another inequality with the distributive property. So I'm going to distribute first. So this 3 gets multiplied with the a, so I have 3a. 3 times the negative 7 is negative 21 or minus 21 plus 9. I'm going to combine these together first, so I'm going to bring down the rest of my problem. And negative 21 plus 9 is going to give me a negative 12. And now I'm going to add 12 to both sides. So I'm trying to isolate the a, so add 12 to both sides. That will give me 33 greater than or equal to 3a. This zeroes out. Divide both sides by 3. This becomes a 1. The left-hand side becomes 11. And I have an a. So 11 is greater than or equal to a, or I could write that as all a such that a is less than or equal to 11. Got another inequality. Looks challenging. However, all we're going to do is get rid of the 6. We're going to clear the fraction. And we're going to multiply everything by 6 to clear the 6. So 6 is over here. We'll reduce each other, leaving us with 1 times 2x minus 4, which is 2x minus 4, still greater than, and then I'm going to distribute by 6. I got negative 30x, and when I distribute here, I get a positive 12. Now my x's, I have a negative on this side and a positive on this side. Well, the negative 30 is smaller, so to get rid of that, I'm going to add 30x to both sides. I'm going to add 30x, so the left-hand side will give me 32x minus 4, and the right-hand side, this will zero out, leave me with just 12. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Add 4. Now I have 32x. 32x is greater than or equal to 16. Write this again over the side. Now I want to divide both sides by 32. So divide by 32. This becomes a 1 times x, which is an identity. X is greater than 16 over 32. I'm just going to call it 1/2. Now I want to write inequalities from words. So we want to translate and solve. So we've got 10 more than a number. Now more than here is not a greater than or less than symbol. More than here is an addition. So be aware of that. 10 more than a number divided by 3 is that's where you normally find your equal signs here. Inequality is going to follow this. So is greater than or equal to twice the number. So I'm going to do the left-hand side. So I've got the left-hand side here. Then I've got my greater than or equal to sign. And then I've got my right-hand side here. So the left-hand side, 10 more than a number divided by 3. So a number divided by 3. And then 10 more than that would be plus 10. And that is going to be greater than or equal to. And the rest of this is twice the number, so twice the same number. So I use an n, so I got to use the same n. So 2n increased by 5 is plus 5. And there's my inequality. All I got to do is solve it. Now the first thing I'm going to do is clear out my fraction. In order to do that, I got to multiply everything by 3. So the 3 on the first one here will cancel out the 3, give me an n plus, and then times 3 here will give me 30. Greater than or equal to, distribute over here, 2n times 3 is 6n. And then 3 times 5 is going to give me a 15. I'm going to rewrite that off to the side. Now my n on the left-hand side, this n has a smaller coefficient than this n, so I'm going to eliminate the n's from the left. I'm going to do that by minusing 1n from both sides. So minus 1n. This will zero out, giving me 30 greater than or equal to 5n on the right plus 15. And now it's just a two-step problem. So minus 15 on both sides. And I have 15 greater than or equal to 5n, this zeroes out. Divide both sides by 5. That cancels out, and I have n on this side, and then a 3 on the left. So I have, if I write that around, n would be less than or equal to 3. And I'm going to put this in set builder notation. There's my solution. For our last one here, we have another inequality word problem. And it looks like it has two parts. Part A, write inequality represents the situation where x is the number of people. And then we wrote in there let x equal the number of people. Then part B is solve the inequality and what is the maximum number of people Nathaniel can invite to the dinner. So we got to make sure we answer both of those. Okay, so let's look at the beginning. A charity is hosting a benefit dinner. They're asking $100 per table. Now that sounds like a fixed cost. Plus, so added to that, $40 per person. Now this per is a multiplication. So it sounds like this sounds like this right here is my slope. Nathaniel's purchasing tickets for his friends and does not want to spend more than $250. So we got to have something that is less than or equal to $250. So write an inequality to represent the situation where x is the number of people. So let x equal the number of people, which we did. So this $40 per person, x is the number of people. So they're going to write 40x. But they're also asking $100 per table. And assuming all of his friends are going to sit at one table, then that would just be plus 100. And then this is going to represent his cost, but we want his cost to be less than or equal to 250 because he's willing to spend $250. Now all we got to do is solve it. So this is the answer to part A. Part B is to solve it. So the first thing we do is subtract 100 from both sides. So we end up with 40x less than or equal to 150. Now we're going to divide both sides by 40. And we end up with x is less than or equal to 3.75. Now remember, we're talking about number of people. So x cannot be a fractional or decimal number of people. And we can't go up to 4 because if we went up to 4, we would go over the 250 limit. So the solution here is got to be x is equal to 3 as the max number of people that he can invite, because that's what that question asks, max number of people.